Well, good morning to you all. My name is Jim Muir. I'm the current president of the Rotary Club of Parker. And for those of you who aren't familiar with Rotary, it's an international service organization. And our club here in Parker, we've been serving this area for over 25 years now, and very proud to be part of the community of Parker. And we thank you all for coming this morning. It's a beautiful morning out here in Parker, and particularly want to thank the sponsors of the event. This is actually a fundraising opportunity for our club to fund the programs and the projects that we do around the area. I mean, I'm not going to make any big speech. I'm leaving that up to the speech makers. So I have the honor of introducing the Honorable Mayor of Parker, Jeff Toberg.
Good morning, everyone. It is so nice to see all your smiling faces back in a big filled room. And I told you, Michelle Kivla, if I gave him a free breakfast, everybody would come. So we're kind of worried about that. So before we get started, I would like to invite my friend Deborah Flora up to the stage for our invocation for this morning.
Thank you so much. We have so much that we can feel blessed for sitting here today. So let's bow our heads in prayer. Dear Lord, we thank you so much for the privilege of, first of all, just being able to welcome you here, for the life that we have, for friends and family, for the privilege of living in such a beautiful place, both the mountains that you created and this town that you have blessed. We ask right now, Father, for you to be present here. Bless those who have made this food. Bless the food to the nourishment of our bodies. We pray for every single person here. Lord, most of all, we lift up our town. We thank you for the leadership. Bless every single person, Lord, who puts their hand to this plow, from the mayor to the town council and everyone else. We ask in particular that you protect and bless our brave men and women in uniform who serve in law enforcement, who make this such an amazing place to raise our families, to flourish just as you would have us do. We pray for the business owners that are here. We pray that you help their businesses to prosper as they serve so many of us that live in this community. Most of all, we just want to say thank you. Thank you for the beauty of this day. Thank you for the lives that we have. Thank you for this town. Thank you for this state. And Lord, most of all, we pray that you do bless and protect this great country. We are so grateful to have inherited a country where we can live freely, where every single person has intrinsic value, individual rights, and the opportunity to pursue your dreams that you've given us. Most of all, we thank you, and it's in Jesus' mighty name we pray. Amen.
And would you all please stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, and I would like to just take a moment to acknowledge our sponsors that we have with us this morning. We've got CORE as our presenting sponsor. Jeff, thank you for being here, and we're going to hear from Jeff in just a minute. We've got ATT as our gold sponsor. La Loma is our gold sponsor. Of course, the town of Parker is one of our gold sponsors for the morning. First Bank back there and the Parker Chronicle are our silver sponsors. Innovest and Credit Union of Colorado we've got here. Of course, the Rotary. I think that I've got everybody. So thank you to all of our sponsors here. We very much appreciate you. We've also got the elected officials joining us this morning that I'd just like to call out. We have Commissioner Abe Layden representing District 1 of Parker. We've got Commissioner George Teal from District 2 from South Parker here. I've not seen Commissioner Thomas this morning. but I'm sure she's busy. We have our council members. We have Councilman Josh Rivera with us, Councilman Todd Hendricks, Councilmember Ann Barrington, Councilmember Cheryl Pogue is right there, and I saw Councilmember Laura Hefta as well with us, and thank you all for being here. Of course, John Dyack is off doing Dr. Cog's stuff because that's what he likes to do as opposed to this. So I want to also welcome the former mayor of the town of Parker, Greg Lopez. Where's he? Over here. Greg was the last of our full-time mayor and town administrator, so he had the hard job. I've got the easy job. We also have, I think, Mayor Tracy Ingerman from Castle Pines is here. Possibly, nope. But we do have the mayor of Lone Tree, Jackie Millay, with us. Awesome. And I think that is it for the electeds. Thank you all for being here and supporting Parker. What you do every day really, really matters. I want to call up to the stage now Jeff from CORE to say just a couple of remarks and really just to say thank you so much for your sponsorship.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you to the Rotary and to everyone who allowed us to be here this morning. I just wanted to give you a couple words from your electric provider because, you know, the story of Parker is really the story of CORE. We grew up together, and Parker's usually important to us. Even though we serve 5,000 square miles across Colorado, Parker is the most densely populated of our service territory. And so the story continues to be growth, and it's phenomenal here. Just a couple numbers about that. Last year, we connected nearly 1,600 new meters, new service locations here in Parker, and over 300 transformers. So that's those big green boxes that people like to run into. Those are transformers. And that's 3 times what we hooked up the previous year. And we see no slowing down in that. Now, most of that, as you know, has been residential, and so one of our goals is to complement that with smart, targeted commercial growth, and that means the type of growth that you want here in Parker. And commercial growth helps all of the members because commercial customers actually help keep the rates low for all of the members. So we're using technology like our GIS mapping system that lets us identify and verify locations for development, and we're working with your economic development team so we can support your efforts to attract the types of businesses that you want. And so the key focuses going forward are going to be 2 things, technology, innovation, and choice. And we're going to work on bringing you both of those things. And you may have seen, for example, our use of drones to inspect the lines. That's some of our new technology. It's hugely efficient. Or they're not as popular, but the wind settings. So as you may have noticed in April, one of the technologies we have now is we can actually use the weather settings and determine wind speed, and that resets our settings on our fault indicators on our systems, so it may cause some quick outages, but that actually prevents a much larger catastrophic fire. So that's another thing we're doing. We also introduced Smart Hub app, which lets every member manage their account on their cell phone, which you couldn't do before. But soon that technology is going to let you do things like actually control your appliances at your house by your cell phone based upon when power is actually cheapest. So things like that for both the home use and the commercial use, we're going to continue to work on so that we will be not only just your trusted energy provider, but that we'll just be a partner for whatever you need, wherever we can help you in the town. Again, Parker's hugely important to us. We thank you for the chance to be here, and anything we can do, just call upon us anytime. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Jeff Baudier from Core Electric. You know, when I found out Jeff was going to say a few words, I tried to negotiate with him, if you show your State of the Town program, that you get 10% off your electric bill, but he wouldn't go for it. So, but, you know, maybe we get him back up here, you know, the masses. You can't say no to all of us, right? Thanks, Jeff. I appreciate you very much. I now have a great opportunity. You know, we as adults have gone through school. School was a lot easier for us back then. And I do want to recognize President Mike Peterson from the school board is with us as well this morning. You know, school was easy for us. We went to school. We didn't have to come home, go back, come home, go back. None of us were looking at a computer all day from home. But there's two young ladies that I have the fortune of having with us today that got through it with grace. And they're going to tell you a little bit about their Legend story and about what their future is. So I'm proud to introduce the student body co-presidents from Legend High School, Courtney Johnson and Kate Kennedy, for a few remarks.
First, we wanted to thank you guys all for the opportunity to speak this morning and being able to share our high school experience with each of you. I'm Kate Kennedy.
I'm Cortland Johnson, and we've had the privilege of serving as the student body presidents at Legend High School this year.
I have had the opportunity of being in the Legend and Parker community since I can remember. I'm the youngest of 5 kids, and all of us have graduated from or are graduating from Legend. Since second grade, I would go to all things Legend: safe trick or treat, homecoming parades, soccer games, any activity to bring the Legend community together. I was there. My siblings set a great example of being involved and giving back, and I wanted to follow them. My older sister and brother played golf, so I learned to love golf and joined the Legend golf team. My brother was student body president from 2018 to 2019 school year, and from that time forward, I wanted to get involved in student government, which I found my greatest passion for.
For me, it's been neat to be on the other end of the spectrum. As the oldest, I've been lucky enough to be the guinea pig in my family as we've navigated the transition to high school, getting a driver's license, and applying to colleges, among a million other things. I felt the pressure of paving the way and setting a good example of being involved for my younger brothers. Fortunately, the town of Parker and Legend High School offered great opportunities for me to do so. And I'm grateful to know that even though I won't always be here to have their backs, they will always have the support of this Parker family.
As the student body presidents, we've had the unique opportunity to be front row and seeing how willing our Parker community is to give. During Wish Week, we watched our Parker community rally together and raise over $160,000 just this year for Make-A-Wish Colorado. In the course of our school's existence, we've raised over $500,000 for Make-A-Wish for kids with critical illnesses. It's incredible, yeah. So first we wanted to thank you for that, but it's also incredible to see the impact we can have when we unite as one.
And we've seen this same support time and time again, whether it be for the canned food drive, trunk or treat, feeder school festival, donations for our Teacher Appreciation Week, or even just showing up to cheer on our sports teams.
Teachers are also the core part of our Legend community. They push us to be the best versions of ourselves that we didn't even think were possible. The relationships that we've created with the staff at Legend go beyond our education needs. I know that if I needed absolutely anything, I can turn to any of my teachers for help and guidance. My teachers are the reason I love school. They made learning fun for me.
And we can confidently say that both Legend and this community have prepared us for the next chapter of our lives. In the fall, I will be attending Southern Utah University, where I plan on studying nursing.
And I'll be attending Brigham Young University in Provo, Utah to further my education and to determine my career path.
Even though we'll both be heading off to college soon, Parker will always be home to us. We'll never forget the memories that we made here and the people that shaped us into who we are.
Lastly, we wanted to thank all of you guys for the time you pour into our community so businesses and families can thrive. We wouldn't be able to do what we have done in the course of our 4 years at Legend without the constant support and encouragement from each of you in our community. So, thank you.
Boy, there are hard acts to follow here. So, you know, the history of the state of the town has always been the Rotary Impact Awards. You know, we've honored many folks with their impacts starting from, I believe, 2013, if memory serves me. And in fact, Cheryl Pogue, council member, is one of those recipients from the early days of that back in 2013. We also are honored to have some of last year's recipients with us here as well. Be the good ones. We've got Alex, Aaron, and Leah with us. Rob Nelson is back there in the back with his amazing service. So again, it's a very honorable group and a very small group. So at this time, I would like to ask Mr. Bob Forbes to do the presentation of this year's 2022 Impact Awards.
Thank you. Good to expand a little bit on what these awards are. This is really about acts of service that exemplify the Rotary motto, which is service above self. And as Mayor mentioned, this has gone on for now 11 years, so it's a great tradition for this community. And the individuals and organizations who have won exemplify through their actions this tremendous commitment to improving this community and the people's lives within it. This year we have 3 nominees. All are incredibly deserving of this award. I'm going to list them before I announce the winner. The first is Cam Breidenbach. A round of applause. Next is the late former Parker Mayor, David Cassiano. And number 3, another former mayor, Mike Wade. This year's Parker Impact Award goes to the late Parker Mayor, David Cassiano. You know, I think of all of the fingerprints that David Cassiano has on this community. Everybody here sees them every single day when you drive through. When he was the mayor, this town doubled in size. And you think of all of the parks that were developed, Railbender Park, the expansion of O'Brien, facilities like this beautiful Pace Center, the field house, the new police department headquarters. So much was developed in those 10 years. But if you think about the broader impact of Mayor Cassiano, he was really a visionary for this community. He had an idea of what it meant to be a Parker resident and what it would mean in 10 years and 20 years. And he really leaned into connecting people and organizations in this community, supporting them, and collaborating with them to build this great community. And kids also. When I think of some of you here probably had him as a sub or as a teacher at Northeast Elementary or Lutheran. So he's been a part of this community for a very long time. And I know the committee, when they considered the acts of service that went into this year's decision, there are so many that come to mind with Mayor David Cassiano. I wanted to share one that I remembered from the very early days of when he was mayor. And I remember he got involved, this is at the beginning of the Iraq War, he got involved with an organization called the Denver-Baghdad Partnership. And somebody brought an idea to that organization to bridge cultures between Colorado and Iraq by hosting high school kids from Iraq. And he promoted that opportunity, really sunk his teeth into it, but there were no sponsors. Nobody stepped up in this organization. And so he rallied and he took it on himself. And we had 22 high school kids arrive from Iraq here in Parker, and we hosted them. And I remember talking to some of these kids and just realizing they had so much in common with our kids. And David shattered misconceptions and cultural barriers for Parker residents. And it was just so classic Cassiano. Excuse me. So when I think of everything that he's done. I can't think of a more deserving person. I was asked to present the award and accept it on his behalf. And I thought of how I could best honor him, but I didn't have a black suit and a black shirt and a white tie. I thought that would be classic if I showed up with that. But let me read the award for you. It says, Parker Impact Award 2022, honoring the service of David Cassiano for his commitment, dedication, and noteworthy contributions to the quality of life in the Parker area, truly exemplifying the Rotary International motto, service above self. Let me read a quick thank you from his family, Susan and Jennifer, who said, "We are very grateful for this award and the recognition it displays. David would be very proud and honored as we are." Thank you.
What a fitting tribute to a amazing mayor. You know, my last visit with Mayor Cassiano was in the hospital, and he extolled upon me. I think that's probably the nicest way I could say it in this mixed group. He extolled upon me the importance of being a good mayor. And he went through and in only David Cassiano style, and again, I'm surprised he didn't have a black hospital gown on at the time too, so it was white. But, you know, he extolled upon me that you listen to the people, you work for the people, you're always available for the people. And that was the three things he did, and I live by that today. So I appreciate his mentorship, I appreciated his friendship, and I'm glad that we could honor him today. Appreciate that. Thank you, Rotary. All right, it is time to talk about this fantastic town of ours. And I've written many drafts of this speech. I could be here literally all day talking about the town of Parker, but I just wanted to share some of the amazing things that are happening within your town that we as elected people, we as staff of the town of Parker get to be involved in every day. So I want to thank you all again for joining us this morning as we celebrate Parker and her accomplishments, and look forward to the next year as our amazing town continues to grow, to prosper, and continues to be that special place that you want to call your hometown. Now, if you're not from Parker by chance, we've got realtors all over here that can help you. We've got loan agents around here too. So, you know, if you're looking to be in Parker, we can get you in Parker. It's a fantastic place to be. But as I always tell big groups like this, don't tell too much of what's good about Parker. We don't want everybody coming, just a select few. So, but anyways, and I do want to take a moment and say thank you to the former chairman of the Parker Area Chamber of Commerce, Omar Castile, for hosting last year's mayor's message when we couldn't all be together. Omar, I appreciate your friendship and I appreciate that opportunity. When I took office 512 days ago, now for some that may seem like a short time, some that's a long time, but you know, the world in Parker was a much different place to be. I was the first mayor, and God willing, I'll be the last, to have a socially distanced swearing in. If you wanted to eat in our restaurants, you braved the cold to sit outside or you did takeout. And I want to acknowledge our Douglas County Commissioners for creating and implementing the program that put our businesses on a path to reopen and created the 5-Star program. I know Commissioner Layden had to leave, but thank you to the Douglas County Commissioners for that great opportunity. Not only did it give our restaurants and our businesses the chance to reopen, it gave our staff at the town of Parker a very unique opportunity to become virtual health inspectors. And these folks from the town administrator's office and from the town clerk's office were so loved around the town that they would get accosted, is probably a good word, in the street, coming out of one restaurant, trying to get into another. So I can remember a story where one of our inspectors was over at Blacken House doing their inspection, and of course running across the street is John Jordan saying, me, I'm next. So they were very popular and probably the most loved inspectors that have ever been seen in this town. So again, I appreciate that, and I appreciate our commissioners for giving us an opportunity. You know, our town's facilities and churches were closed. Schools were in a hybrid model, sometimes in, sometimes out, sometimes a little bit of both. And I made a bold statement that night during my swearing in that this cannot happen in Parker and it cannot happen in Douglas County. I asked this council and asked them to stand together with me for our businesses, for our families, for our restaurants, and for our schools, and for our churches, and that we together would say, by God, Parker is open for business. And I am proud to stand before you this morning to report to you that the state of our town is thriving and growing. The state of our town is economically sound and open for business. And yes, the state of our town is strong. I'm equally proud to report to you that we have a dedicated town council that works together collaboratively and strategically every day for the citizens of Parker and for the greater Parker area. While there are different approaches, different opinions, different interests represented on the council, these 6 women and men are dedicated to doing what's right for Parker every day and the families that call Parker home. So let's give them another round of applause. You know, our Parker Town Council is as unique as Parker is itself. We have a small businessman, entrepreneur, and coffee guru, Josh Rivero. We have an IT guy, Todd Hendricks. We have a realtor who we always look for appraisal advice on, Ann Barrington. We have John Dyack, financial advisor and transportation guru. We have Cheryl Pogue, who formed Parker, and in fact, her name is on the certification of the election that made Parker a town. That's how long she goes back, so thank you. And we also have our council in-house attorney, Laura Hefta, and retired Army colonel. So you can see your council is diverse, it's knowledgeable, it's smart, it's bright, it's witty, and sometimes comes the clashes of the council when we all have the great ideas that we want to do. But I want to know you 6, I appreciate you very much, and I appreciate your service every day to this town. I am proud also of our leadership team that steers the ship every day. Our town administrator, Michelle Kivala, over there has been with the town for 10 years, and 5 in her role as the town administrator. She leads our directors and our staffs in the day-to-day operations of our town. We're also pleased to announce that we have named our new town attorney, Kristen Huffman. She was the deputy town attorney for 3.5 years before taking on this role. I think most of you know that our town attorney, Jim Maloney, semi-retired this year in April after 34 years in that spot. And I say semi-retired because I think Mrs. Maloney has a big list of things that haven't been done in a while. So next time you see Jim, let him know he's sticking around the town for a while to help out in the transition and to work on some special projects. And we're very grateful for that. We're very grateful. Of equal importance, last year, our first town clerk, Carol Baumgartner, retired. She was employee number 1, and she retired after 40 years of service to the town. We've named a new town clerk, Chris Vanderpool, and we hope she'll stay around for 40 years too. But, God willing. Michelle's already promised for another 40, so we're good there. As I prepared remarks for this morning, I kept coming back to one common theme, and that is the people who serve the town of Parker. We have dedicated men and women accomplishing extraordinary achievements every day. I'd be here all day and into the night, and if you're willing, I'm willing, but I think you all have to go to work and school to talk about their achievements. But I want to introduce some of these folks to you that really, really make the town run and give that much-deserved credit where credit is due. So I want to start off with my passion, economic development, and we have hired within the 2021 time, I think he's been here for a year and a couple months, Bo Martinez, our deputy town manager. Parker's business community continued to thrive and grow in 2021. We embarked on several major business retention, attraction, and expansion projects during that year. Among the new businesses that were added to the community were Sierra Nevada Corporation, Havana Bakery and Cafe, and the Big Toolbox, just to name a few. We also had a business that started just on the tail end of 2020, right during the pandemic, right during the 5-star program, and I mentioned them earlier, but Black and House Cafe, Brent and Jen are here with us tonight. They had not only opened during the middle of a pandemic, but they are killing it today. So thank you. Thank you, Black and House, for being a part. You know, we also had a host of smaller businesses and at-home businesses that started up. These smaller businesses and the at-home businesses make up a significant block of our Parker business community, and we are all happy to support them. We've also seen a major expansion at existing businesses such as Paragon 28, Oral Labs, and the new medical office building at the campus of Parker Adventist. And Mike Goebel from Parker Adventist is back here in the back. Thank you for such a beautiful campus and such a cornerstone to our community. We appreciate it. Our Community Development Director, John Fusa, and his team work to support Parker businesses with the continuation of the temporary patio extension program. If you've been to West Main, you know what the extension program is on a large scale. If you sat in fishing tents over the winter, you know what that program is. And the importance of that program is, you know, our team at the town worked with businesses that couldn't allow people into their restaurant, and we gave them the chance to work themselves out into the parking lots, onto sidewalks, wherever they could to make their businesses thrive. So I appreciate them very much for that. The department continued the land development ordinance, which is a modernization. It's the first comprehensive modernization of our zoning since 1981, since Parker's inception. And what this will allow us to do for economic development will be allow us to kind of form where commercial areas go and really give recommended zoning. So I know for those of you that are not geeking out over zoning, I can tell you your 6 council members are, and it's a very exciting thing for us. We also created a new sound ordinance to allow both our Parker residents and our Parker businesses to coexist as good neighbors. Now, you know, if you live in Main Street, you're going to hear the noise from the bands. But what we tried to do, and I think the council was very thoughtful about it, was to arm our police with decibel meters so they could know whether we were in bounds or out of bounds, and also to educate our citizens on what those rules were. So very appreciative of the council on that. You know, and in terms of economic developments, I have attended so many ribbon cuttings in 2021 that I am petitioning the Chamber of Commerce for my own set of scissors. Now, yes, I have, yeah. So every time, Kara Massa, who's not here, but is really the stalwart of the chamber, I don't know what it is about me, but she says every time, now you know they're sharp. And I've done this. You know they're sharp, yes. And the one time that she didn't do it, this is where that positive reinforcement comes. The one time she didn't do it, I dropped him on my foot and it went right through my shoe. So appreciate that. Our vision for 2022 is to create a comprehensive economic development strategic plan to position the town for the future and to diversify our economy, and it is already taking shape. You might have seen a little store open last week called Trader Joe's. Probably been there already. You know, that's just the start of that. We opened that last week, and I think, and he's here, so I don't want to put him on the spot, Mr. William Brinkerhoff, but we have La Loma Parker opening May, June? July, okay, all right. Breaking news. I know the Parker Chronicle's here, so breaking news, La Loma commits to July in Parker. But that's going to be really special. And William, thank you for being here. Thank you for your sponsorship. And thank you for bringing that really beautiful building back to life for us. We appreciate it. Businesses are opening up monthly in Parker, and this is proven by the fact that we have a 1% vacancy rate in our commercial space. So, to our developers here in the room, can you bring us some business space so we can continue to grow the Parker economy and let businesses open here and let people achieve their American dream? And I'm specifically looking at one man who has signs all over town. Mitch, if you could do that for us, that'd be great. That'd be just great. That'd be great. In 2022, we look forward to continuing to build a strong, vibrant, and diverse and resilient downtown. The council is currently in initial discussions with the Confluence Company on a plan that will develop town-owned properties on Main Street to attract more retail, business, restaurant, entertainment, and residential space. And if you saw some of the graphics, it's pretty fantastic. Next, we talk about the money. You know, Parker is not at a loss for money. I can tell you that. Our town revenues are strong and we're growing. You know, we are the beneficiaries of COVID in that a lot of our people now stay home. We have, for the first time, a daytime economy. People, you know, Black House, Tailgate, you name it, are busy at lunchtime, and that's a great thing. It's because we're all in our homes and we're just trying to escape from our kids, or they're trying to escape from us. But our finance department, led by Director Mary Lou Brown, has worked tirelessly to make sure that your tax dollars are spent and they go exactly where they're supposed to go. In fact, in 2021 going into 2022, our financial position is so strong that we keep a reserve of 25% of our budget, and that's approximately $25 million in an account for a rainy day. And we hope we don't have many of those. But I would take some rain. I don't know about you. I'd take some rain. We are funding our capital improvement plan budget in the amount of $30 million this year alone, which includes the council's facilities improvement plan to expand town hall, as well as renovate or add to nearly every facility within the town of Parker. A major undertaking again, and the financial position of Parker is better than strong. Our financial team has worked to improve transparency. We've relaunched the open budget where you can go out online, you can look at our budget, you can look at our real-time expenditures, and you can keep track of where we're spending it. The team also supported a sustainable infrastructure and operational growth in the town with the creation of a balanced 10-year financial plan. We like to call that Mary Lou's crystal ball, which she always tells it clouds about 5 years, but it's still pretty good. Continue our dedication to excellence in the finance area. The town's 2022 budget has been awarded the Distinguished Budget Presentation Award from the Government Finance Officers Association, as well as the Certificate of Achievement in Excellence in Financial Reporting. Both of these awards are the highest form of recognition in governmental budgeting, accounting, and reporting. Your money could not be in better hands. I wish I could get Mary Lou to balance my checkbook for me. All right, moving on from finance, I get to talk about one of my favorite topics. You know, mayors don't have favorite departments, right? We love them all. Josh is sitting there saying, don't say it, don't say it, don't say it. But we love them all. But I want to talk a minute about our police. I'm grateful and proud to announce that the town of Parker continues to be a safe community for you and for your families. While crime is on the rise in our state and, to be honest, in our town, we are fortunate to have an amazing police department under the leadership of Jim Serapis to keep us safe. Chief Serapis started with the town of Parker in 1993 as a volunteer reserve officer and has been with us for 29 years. Now, yeah. So Jim started when he was 15, so that is the effects of police on you. So under Chief Serapis' leadership, morale amongst the heroes at the Parker Police Department remains at an all-time high. Since becoming mayor, we have sworn in 11 new officers, with another 7 going through the process right now. Parker has become the force to join. And let me tell you, when I go over, and I've not missed a swearing in yet, I do 3 points to our officers. First, I talk to their family, and I make that commitment to them that we, Parker, will take care of your sons and daughters. Don't worry about them. We got them. We'll go to the legislature and fight, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. We'll go to the legislature. We'll fund them. We'll do whatever it takes. And then I give our officers, say, the council has your back in all ways, but more importantly, the community has your back. You know, there are fights at the Parker Police Department on who is bringing in Thanksgiving dinner, who is bringing in Christmas dinner to them, and there is more food there than Secor, the Parker Task Force, and Grace Baptist have combined. We should open that as the food drive. So our Parker PD is loved. And lastly, I talk to the existing officers. You know, the newbies, and they all look so young. My family is here. I have a 19, a 17, and a 14-year-old, and Chief, I think some of those kids look younger than my kids. But, they've got the fire, they've got the passion, they've got the drive. And what I tell our existing officers, don't forget, the council still has your back. We're still watching out for you, and you're still the pride of Parker. So on that vein, our town council and our community supports law enforcement like no other, and those are just 2 good examples. We spent a great deal of time standing up to the Colorado legislature in 21 when they sought to impact our officers. When the state legislature threatened our officers with undue financial burdens for just doing what they do, this town council stepped up, bought an insurance policy for each officer to stand in the gap of that amazingly horrible bill. And I appreciate you all for doing that. You know, this town council fought back when the legislature introduced SB 21062, a bill that would have prevented our officers from making arrests on Class 4, 5, and 6 felonies and Class 3 and 4 drug felonies. And guess what? We won. That's not a bill. We sought and we obtained grant providing $30,000 for additional counseling services for our officers. And that equates to about 3 to 4 counseling visits in addition to what they get on their employee assistance program. That is important. Our officers' mental health, the job they do is incredible, and we want to take care of them in every way. The town also made a 4% adjustment to the compensation plan and a 5% step advancement for some officers. Now, I know you don't know what that means, but here's what it does mean. Each of our officers received up to a 9% increase in their pay, making Parker the market leader in Douglas County and enhancing our recruitment and our retention capabilities. The mayors of Castle Rock, Lone Tree, Parker, I know, you know where I'm going with this. We all like to brag to each other that we got your officer, you got our officer, and to any future sheriffs that are out there, we're coming for your guys too. So, look, but it's great, and Jackie, I just want to say my budget beats your budget on that. So they're all coming over to Parker. I appreciate that. And as we look forward to the future, the impacts of increased crime, mental health issues, and drug use, specifically fentanyl, are my top priority here in Parker. We'll supply every tool in the toolbox to keep our residents safe, but equally important, we'll supply every tool, every weapon, every tactic to keep our officers safe on the street. So we are going to switch over now to Parks and Recreation, which is an amazingly hot topic here in Parker. With over 30 miles of trails, acres of park, and the most utilized facilities in the town of Parker, our Parks and Recreation Director, Mary Colton, has her hands full. In 2021, we completed the renovations of the new H2 O'Brien pool. This project incorporated the newest in pool treatment technology, an amazing spot for families to gather on those hot Parker days. I think, someone correct me, we've gone from using 600,000 gallons of water a month to treating it down to like 6,000. It's incredible. So to Parker Water and Sand, I apologize for the decrease in your revenues, but life happens. But Jeff, we're still using a lot of electricity out there. Don't worry, you're safe. You're safe. The East-West Regional Trail connection was completed here in Parker with the last 4.7-mile connection of the 28-mile trail that begins at Havana Road and connects to Chambers Road. You can now walk, ride, run, or bike from Parker to Highlands Ranch. So anyone that wants to head over there, you can get to Highlands Ranch without even hitting a street. It's pretty amazing. The East-West Trail undercrossing at Jordan Road was completed for a total of $3 million and provides safe, continuous, below-grade access on the East-West Trail. The Parks and Recreation and Open Space partnered with the Just Serve organization. I see Julie Barris back there in the back and Sean Mann to hold the mayor's first day of service here in Parker. This event hosted nearly 1,000 people in our parks and on our trails to get out there, to beautify, to clean up. And I understand from current talks, it's looking to be bigger and better this year than it was last year. So thank you, Julie. Thank you, Sean. And thank you to Dave Crandall. You're raising your hand too. I see you. So thank you all. Looking forward to construction of the High Plains Trail to be completed by this fall. This is a 5.2 multimodal project that will connect 2 major regional trails as it spans across Parker Road up in the north side. So you're going to start as you travel north, and I don't know why you would, but as you travel north out of Parker, you're going to start to see these big berms come out of the ground, and eventually there's going to be a pedestrian way over the top, and it's going to loop around. It's going to be pretty exciting. So if you haven't seen it yet, go online and look at it, but also wait for that to happen this fall. The O'Brien Park Playground and seating will be renovated as well. This plan allows for accommodations of ADA and special needs community, as well as for increased seating and shade structures so families can enjoy lunch or time out under the shade. So we're looking forward to that. Each new development that is built in Parker comes with new parks, new open space, and we look forward to adding that to the inventory of Parker as we grow. I personally challenged our director, Mary Colton, and I wish she was here today. But please find us some more pickleball courts for anybody watching. Do we have any pickleball players in the room? This is a good crowd for me. So I've been called out many, many times over the last year that we need more pickleball courts. And believe me, if I could find them, I would find them for you. So hopefully Mary will be able to find those for you. But it's a big, big emerging sport. All right, moving on to where we're sitting today and to our cultural department under the direction of Carrie Glassburn here. Thank you for hosting us in your beautiful facility. We appreciate it. You know, this last year, Pace celebrated her 10th birthday. I know she doesn't look that old, but she is 10 years old. And the figures of what has gone through this building are phenomenal. We've rented out our event space to 750 groups over the last decade, hosting over 290,000 people at events here. We've held over 350 weddings and receptions. And it'd be interesting to know how many of those people are still married versus, maybe we'll do it next state of the town, right? All right. We presented over 1,700 performances in our theater, totaling over 475 tickets sold. And, we don't just get fly-by-night names. We get really great names, Wynonna, Clint Black. We got Councilman Rivero's new favorite, Richard Marks, that he's rediscovered over the last year coming in. So it really is. And it's a diverse offering, and it's a diverse showing that we get here, and it's really exciting. We've offered over 30,000 hours of cultural classes to over 120,000 patrons. We put on more than 500 school break camps for art, music, dance, science, and theater. We've exhibited more than 3,000 pieces of art in our art galleries, and for those of you that weren't around at the celebration of the 10th anniversary, we have the little art studio right out front. It's the little white box where you can create a little piece of art for yourself, put it in, and steal someone else's. Well, borrow, and then you bring it back. So mine has never showed back up again that I did, so somewhere out there. Exhibited more than 3,000 pieces again, and we've enlisted the support of more than 300 volunteers that have worked more than 37,000 hours of free time to make the center run. Amazing, amazing numbers. We've also welcomed over 1 million patrons through these doors, and that's a big feat. That's a big feat. Parker Arts Center recently partnered with Council of Art, Science, and Culture to put on the new Science Day event. It was a big hit. In fact, it was such a big, we're going to do Science Day and Science Night in 2022. And Carrie Glassburn has promised me there won't be any tarantulas or snakes at any of these. So, all right, last but not least, if you drove here, if you walked here, if you rode a bike here, or you stopped at a traffic light along the way, you've seen a touch of what Public Works and Engineering does for this town, led by Tom Williams. 2021 was a busy year for the team, which included collaboration with the Anthology North developer, Tantera, to accelerate and construct a full 6-lane section of Chambers Road from Hess to Stroh Road. This is a significant component to the transportation system of Parker that will provide much-needed congestion and traffic relief at that area while providing economic development opportunities along the Chamber Road. I want to... Of course, it's Stroh Ranch over there. But I do want to acknowledge, this is one of probably the largest public-private partnerships that we've embarked on. Chris Elliott, Matt Janke from EX5, thank you for partnering with this. Yeah. So when a developer comes in, they have to build their first 2 lanes of road. What Matt and Chris have done is they have stepped up to build the next 4 lanes of road that the town would have to build. They've offered to build the sidewalks for that too, and they were probably going to build it what would have taken us 7 or 8 years to build it. I think, Chris, you said it's open today, tomorrow? All right. So no, but we'll have that up in 1 to 2 years. An amazing feat, and that's what you do when you partner with the private industry. So guys, thank you so much. Thank you so much. And if you see him on the way out, do ask him if Chambers is open yet, because we want to keep the fire on. The team also completed the Cottonwood Drive widening project between Jordan and Parker Road and worked with the developer to complete their sections. But the most important thing for our engineering and public works team, they got to build a bridge. That's a big deal for these guys. They got to build yet another bridge. So if you haven't seen the Cottonwood Bridge up to the north as you're shooting over to Costco, do so. It's really amazing, and traffic up there is phenomenal until we get busy again. So the team also continued to further the Dransfeld Road extension project from 20 Mile to Motzenbacher. This is a joint project between our Douglas County Commissioners, the town of Parker, and our good friend Mike Smith out at Flatacre Farms. And they'll provide a key transportation link and promote economic development in that area and future regional commercials. And if you have not talked to Mike Smith about how excited he is about this project, you should. There's nothing but like a road through your farm that will make a man glow like that guy. So, you know, these large projects were in addition to keeping our roads swept, our streets lit, traffic lights operating, snow plowed, fleet maintained, sidewalks and gutters in repair, and everything else they do. In addition to all this work that they have to do, they even offered to maintain Mayor Jackie Malay's Lone Tree fleet for her. It's awesome. Yeah. Can we note not to have Mayor Malay come? No hecklers from the crowd. I know. I'm worn out talking about all the highlights of our group. These men and women come to work every day, and they have one sole purpose. That is to make Parker the most amazing place for you, for them, for their families, for your families. And let's give them all another round of applause. It is an honor to serve the citizens of this great community as your mayor. The town of Parker has a favorable position going forward as we continue to focus on economic development and attracting diverse commercial and professional business in the town. Be assured, though, as we focus on the future, we will continue to support our businesses that are here, that have built us, and who are the bedrock of our community and our economy. We're not just focused on the new, we're focused on you all. What we began in 2021 will continue in 2022. And I, along with Bo, along with every member of the council and every member of our staff, are committed to cut through the red tape and roll out the red carpet for business here in Parker. I thought that would have got applause. Okay. Next year, Crandall, I'm going to have you stand up with the applause sign for me, because you're the tallest one in the room. 2022 will continue to be a year of growth as we see Southwest Parker and the trails at Crowfoot, Looking Glass, Tantera, and the remaining developments continue to bring over 6,500 new homes, along with parks, trails, schools, commercial centers, and all the other amenities to our town. We'll continue to expand our recreation and cultural departments in the coming year with new and innovative programs designed to promote a healthy and culturally rich town, and I hope that means more pickleball courts. I'm just keeping that out there. We'll continue to work with our colleagues at the county, within Douglas County cities and towns, with the school district, with all districts, to be a good partner and further the Parker area. As we grow, I want to remind each and every one of you in this room, the hometown feel of Parker doesn't diminish with the size of our town. The hometown feel exists in each one of us. We are all ambassadors to this amazing town. The state of our town is strong. The future success of our town is limitless. And I look forward to seeing you all in 2023 when we have a chance again to meet, to celebrate the victories, to celebrate the achievements of this great town, and to plot our course for the next year. May God bless each and every one of you, and may God bless the town of Parker. Thank you. I now have the honor of introducing Patty Silverstein of the Development Research Partner to join us to talk about what the economy looks like in the Denver Metro. So Patty, come on up.
Hey, how's everybody doing? Boy, that was just amazing, amazing words about all that is happening here in Parker. I am just delighted to hear everything that is happening. Because obviously in these days of some economic uncertainty, shall we say, to have all of that good news and to know that your community is strong is wonderful. So I am going to share with you today kind of our vision, our thoughts as far as where the whole region is going. And so by the region, I'm going to be focusing on Metro Denver. So I'm talking everything from here in Douglas County on the south, all the way up to Adams and Boulder counties on the north. So a 7-county area. We do include Boulder in this, and that becomes important in some of the statistics and all that I will be covering here. So at the start of 2022, we were looking for, kind of a theme. I like to do a theme when I do our economic forecasts. And I was like, there are so many words that start with RE that describe our whole 2021 and looking forward into 2022. And so the theme here is really now reset. Yeah, if anybody else, with electronics, sometimes when things really start going bad, what do? You reset, you restart, you kind of clear everything away. And that's really what I think we need to do in our economy right now. So I'm going to really be focused on, what we are doing to kind of reset, restart things here. So I'm going to, the plan here, I'm going to start just talking very broadly about what's going on all across the globe and the U.S., but I will be drilling in very specifically into what's happening in Metro Denver and talking about Douglas County, too, when that becomes relevant. So at a whole global outlook right now, COVID's still the story. As much as we can look at this and be so glad that we are here, we need to recognize that there are countries that are still shut down. There are parts of China that are still shut down. That is impacting some of our supply chains. So not everybody has reached the point where, they're saying in the U.S. that we probably have some type of, 90% of us are walking around as kind of immune, either through vaccinations or we've had COVID or what have you. So it's become more endemic to us, but that's not all across the globe. So we still have this whole challenge in terms of moving goods, people across the globe, supply chain issues, and I'm sure that is impacting some of your businesses out there. Constrained labor availability, nobody's experienced that, right? Nobody at all. The war in Ukraine, of course, is wreaking some havoc, too, on our whole recovery pace. The International Monetary Fund does a forecast for all of the countries across the globe. They say that the world will grow by about 3.6% in 2022, and the U.S. 3.7%. I think that's a little aggressive given some of what we're seeing currently, but nonetheless, we'll put it out there that that's what they're saying. One of the things that has kept us going, though, was all of those COVID relief funds. $10.2 trillion across our country that was infused in the forms of direct payments to our households, to our businesses, grants, loans, other types of tax relief. That's 44% of our GDP was committed out there in terms of those, in terms of all those relief funds that were put out there. That has come with a bit of a cost, though, of course. So first of all, we've seen the federal budget deficit had, of course, increased, but now we're starting to see that shrink back as those COVID relief funds have already been dispersed, have already gone out there. So we're seeing a pullback in our budget deficit, but it still is a large budget deficit at a whole federal level. And we have seen inflation. Is anybody spending more money at a grocery store? Nah. Gas station, yeah. So we have definitely seen all of those inflationary pressures in the economy. And this is the first time in about 40 years that we have seen levels of inflation like we are currently seeing. Now, the good news and the data that just came out yesterday, we did see that from an 8.5% over the year increase. We saw that pull back to just 8.3%. That's truly, I just in terms of the magnitude of those numbers, but there is a thought that we will start to see a little bit of pullback in that. The unfortunate news, though, is that inflation is still going to be with us throughout the rest of this year, probably into the beginning part of next year. But nonetheless, we are going to be working to get this under control. Our Federal Reserve is working very diligently to try to temper the demand side of inflation. And so that means that they are raising the interest rate. So that interest rate increase that went up just by 0.5%, we are now expecting that, they're saying that they're going to be aggressive this year in terms of those interest rate changes. So the expectation is that they will increase by 0.5% again in June. Expect another 0.5% in July. Then we'll start to see. Then it starts to get a little bit mixed from the analyst perspective of will they continue or will they just say, okay, let's see what happens there now. But kind of the best guess is that we will hit against that 2% rate by the time we get to middle to end of this year. They're also doing what they're calling a quantitative tightening, so that they're trying to make sure that they are not infusing as much cash into the system, trying to temper the demand within the system. Because as we had mentioned, that inflation is a concern. At first, it was only happening in transportation, pretty much. That's where all of the gasoline prices and all. And indeed, that's the category that we are experiencing the largest increases. We saw the largest amount of tempering in that category in the recent data that just came out, so the April data. So that bodes well for us, but we are getting a little bit more widespread inflation all across. Now, the good news, I guess, is that there are a couple of categories in the Metro Denver region where our inflation rate is significantly lower than the U.S. So that's apparel. So get out and buy new clothes because you're out in public once again. Also, education and communications is also below the inflation level that we're seeing at a national rate. So again, take advantage of that. But truly, transportation costs have been a challenge for us here. Put all that together, one of our broadest measures of economic activity then is our gross domestic product, our GDP. When you take a look at where we have been and where we are going, perhaps, we look at COVID basically put an end to a 128-month expansion, the longest expansion in U.S. history. Then we contracted for 2 months. It was the shortest recession in history then. And now we're still just trying to get it going. As you know, GDP went negative in the first quarter. Don't fret on that. Some people have looked at that and said, it only takes one more quarter to put us into recession. But truly, we don't have to go there. There are very strong fundamentals, but certainly it was a wake-up call that we need to be very vigilant at this point in time. There's a lot of uncertainty out there in the market. So again, you have to really keep watching, keep your eye on the end game here, because there's going to be a lot of distractions with data and information that will be coming around. Our expectation is that GDP as a whole for this year will increase by about 3%. Remember, I said that the IMF was putting a value out of about 3.6 for the U.S. Again, I think that's a little aggressive. I'm expecting more around a 3% rate, which is still above our typical average annual growth rate. Okay, let's start digging in and start taking a look at what's really driving the economy here in the Metro Denver region and indeed here down in Douglas County. So, and times of the labor market, it has been this great resignation. There's been a great renegotiation. We've had remote work. We've had retirement. Again, all of these RE words that describe what has been happening. The good news here in Metro Denver, we have recovered all of the jobs that we had lost. Come on, if you can get applause, I gotta get applause for that. That is just so exciting. So right now in Metro Denver, all of those jobs that had been lost, and there were a big chunk. I mean, when you take a look at this chart, just the contrasting this to the whole Great Recession, where it was this gradual downturn and a gradual increase. This whole business cycle has been oh so different. 22 months to recover all of the jobs that had been lost compared to during the Great Recession. It was 33 months here in the Metro Denver region. We have recovered, we're now at 106% of the jobs. Colorado is up to about 104%. The U.S. has still not recovered all of their those jobs. So certainly here in Metro Denver, in Colorado, we are tending to outperform the U.S. level. But our recovery has been very different depending upon what part of the state you are in. So when you take a look at all of our urbanized areas, our metropolitan statistical areas, there are 17 of our 64 counties that are included in these metropolitan statistical areas, or MSAs. And so I want to focus first on, because that's where a lot of the data tends to get grouped by these urbanized areas. We see that the fastest growing portion of our state has actually been out on the western slope, Grand Junction. They've seen a lot of retirees. You know, as many people were deciding that they were leaving the urbanized areas looking for more space, they've been moving out to Grand Junction. Again, lower cost of living there, as well as all the outdoor recreation. So that has been one of the fastest growing parts of the state. We then get along our Front Range there, Fort Collins, Boulder, Colorado Springs, Denver, all growing at roughly the same pace there. Again, very diversified economies throughout the Front Range there, and that has really been helping to boost us forward there. Then you get into an area like Pueblo. Pueblo has been a very slow growth region. They have had trouble kind of diversifying their economy, still very dependent upon the steel industry and all there, and really having trouble kind of trying to get it going, trying to get some other industries going. But they have not had as many challenges as the Greeley area. Up there in Weld County, with all the pullback in oil and gas activity, they have certainly seen a real challenge. And indeed, out of our MSAs, they are the only region, too, that has not recovered all of the jobs that had been lost during the COVID recession. So they're looking at that. You know, one of the other key industries there too is renewable energy, and usually it's kind of balanced on the natural resources side with the renewable resources side. As one goes up, the other one goes down, and they kind of balance. And the trouble with Greeley really has been that both of them have been challenged right about now, really permeating all throughout their whole economic base. Elsewhere, all throughout Colorado, so again, 47 of our other counties are in that elsewhere in Colorado. Growth has been pretty significant, 5.3%. So taking a look at what industries are really driving this economic activity. So all of our companies that operate out there are put into one of these buckets according to the good or service that they provide. And we put all these buckets together. We call some of these larger buckets super sectors. Professional and business services is our largest industry grouping, and this includes everything from accounting and legal services all the way through to computer systems design, to all of the administrative and business resources that are put out there. This is our largest industry and has also been one of our fastest growing, and this is terrific news for the Metro Denver region, because as all of those business services start to go up, it's an indication that all of our businesses are looking for more resources, looking for more services. So it tends to be kind of the bellwether there to indicate that everything has been going up. If you look towards the bottom of that chart, one of our smaller industries, transportation, warehousing, and utilities, has also been one of those fast-growing industries. This has been driven by e-commerce. We have seen so much employment through all of the logistics operations. Remember when you started just clicking the button to order products? Well, there are people behind that in the logistics operations that were making sure that you were getting those goods, those services. Two categories that are still lagging, though, our government sector, which is all of our state, local, and regional governments that are in there, that's still lagging behind because many of our governments our governmental entities had pulled back on spending, pulled back on hiring when COVID hit because it was a great uncertainty as far as what would be happening with their budgets. And then leisure and hospitality. Oh, isn't it great to be back out in restaurants? And I know that a lot of Douglas County did not see the type of hit that we did throughout the entire Metro Denver region. But to be out there, back to music venues and concerts and entertainment and arts and culture, nonetheless, that industry is still lagging in terms of employment. Sometimes not because for lack of trying, but rather for lack of employees out there to fill all of those spaces. If we dig into Douglas County data in particular, again, Douglas County professional and business services is our largest category. Great increase there. Again, solid foundation. Construction industry has also been doing well here in Douglas County in terms of the employment. Two of the categories that are challenged here, that leisure and hospitality as at the Metro Denver level, but also retail trade. Again, not necessarily because of a lack of interest, but because of the challenge of finding the workers there. Put all that together, our expectation, as I had mentioned, we have now added back all of the jobs that had been lost at the Colorado level, at the Metro Denver level. Notice too that Douglas County line there is in orange there. Douglas County tends to outperform the rest of the counties in terms of employment growth and all, and that is our expectation too moving forward. So a good solid foundation for bringing things on, for keeping everything moving. The challenge, though, as I have alluded, is actually finding some of those workers to keep those business expansion plans moving forward. So in this chart, I want you to focus on the green dotted line. That's the number of job openings versus that kind of purpley line. That's the number of people that are unemployed. This is data for the state of Colorado. And what we see when we take a look at this is that our number of job openings is around 210,000 in Colorado. That's the number of positions that everybody is trying to fill all throughout the state. But we only have 127,000 people that are unemployed. If you do the math, that's about 1.6, 1.7 jobs for every person that is looking for one to choose from there. So again, very tight labor market. And there's been a lot of discussion too about that gray line there, which is the quits line. We've been hearing that all sorts of people are saying, you know, I'm out of here. I'm done. I'm quitting. Okay. The reality, yes, they may be quitting, but generally people are quitting because they are looking for new opportunities. They are seeking either a new career path, maybe it's some type of benefits package that works better for them and their families. It is very few people that are really quitting and saying, I'm out of here, I'm done, I'm going to go live up in the mountains off the grid. That's just not happening. But there is certainly a lot of churn, a lot of movement that is going on right now. In Colorado, you know, our unemployment rate, 3.7, was the 29th lowest, or flip that around, 22nd highest. We're kind of right in the middle of the pack. We are back to basically pre-pandemic levels in terms of our unemployment rate. Look at Utah right now, which I noticed that our two high school girls going off to Utah I hope they come back because we want them back here. We want that labor force to come back because, again, very constrained right now. It's even more constrained in Utah with a 2% unemployment rate. It's very, very challenging. You know, in Douglas County, you tend to have an unemployment rate that is even lower than the whole Metro Denver region as a whole. So for all of you that are trying to hire workers, attract workers, do what you can to retain those workers, okay? It becomes oh so critical to keep those folks. You know, and one of the things too, you know, when you think about inflation, you know, a lot of our first response is, ooh, I need to up the salary to get those workers, to keep those workers. Okay. Think too of how that influences inflation. Maybe whether, rather than a total salary bump, can it be just a bonus or can it be some other type of amenities? We want to try to avoid pushing all of those salaries up, and because salaries, once they get pushed up, do not come back down. So you want to make sure that you are really thinking of the future too in terms of your whole compensation packages and how you retain your workers and all. Okay, moving to the commercial real estate market, we've seen a lot of redevelopment, renovations, reinvention of how we use this whole commercial space. On the office side, of course, remote work is really what has dominated the whole discussion on that. And let me just say a few words on this chart. And by the way, I'm happy to make all of these charts available. I know I'm going through stuff really quickly. In this chart, the green bar represents our direct vacancy rate. The gray bar is the sublease space. And in the office market, it was that sublease space too that was kind of a changing dynamic within this whole marketplace. The red line reflects the amount of square footage that was newly built, the amount of square footage that was added to the marketplace there. So on our office market side, yes, we have a vacancy rate that is a little higher than comfortable. So around 12.5% right now. The typical point, I know Parker's is lower. I know that. But all throughout the metro region, especially when you look at some of the urbanized, the downtown Denver core, for example, that's where you're going to get some of those higher vacancy rates. The industrial market, oh my gosh. The industrial market, we have built 5 million square feet or more of industrial space throughout the last 5 years. So from 2017 through 2021, we built 5 million square feet or more throughout the entire Metro Denver region. So how do we top that off in 2022? We're going to add nearly 11 million square feet in this year alone. Again, all of that logistics space, all of the e-commerce activities, about 2/3 of the space is in Adams County. So taking advantage of the I-70, I-76, I-25 corridors all throughout there. The retail market, and I know this was of concern here where you have a very, very low retail vacancy rate. If you had asked me at the start of COVID which of these markets would have done the best, I never would have said retail. But retail has been very stable, very surprisingly stable. So we did not give up on brick and mortar at all. We supplemented, yes, with a lot of e-commerce activities, but still brick and mortar, oh so important. And we're building next to nothing all across the Metro Denver region when it comes to retail. So that has really helped to kind of stabilize that market. So you add all of it together, 2022 is going to be a banner year for the amount of construction activity completed. Office, industrial, and retail, we expect 13.6 million square feet will be completed in the Metro Denver region, surpassing our previous record that was just under 12 million back in 2018. So construction, if you're in the development side there, you have been very, very busy lately. Turning to the demographics, our consumer activity. So that's how you and I get out there and spend our money. And we have definitely been replacing stuff. I would also suggest we maybe need to start replacing people. I know a lot of folks will say, look at all of these people that have moved here. There's just so many people. Oh. No, we are not. We are growing at a much slower pace than where we have for a number of years, than the last 30 years. So when you take a look at population growth, there's that gray bar at the top. That's net migration. That's the number of people moving in less the number of people moving out, versus the green part is our natural increase. That's the number of births less the number of deaths, okay? We have seen a very low natural increase in our population because of very low birth rates right about now, and we have had more deaths due to COVID and other issues. And people were not as mobile during this period of time. So 2020, 2021, some of the slowest growth years in Metro Denver. Interestingly, here in Douglas County, it was a little bit different. 2020, 2021, you had some stronger growth. Again, you had people that were in those urbanized areas trying to move out into a little more open spaces. So Douglas County being kind of the recipient of that, but expecting that growth to kind of stabilize as we start looking out into the future. This takes a look, this is a crazy chart, but it takes a look at the number of people that we have by single year of age and color codes them according to the generational groups. What you can see in this then is in Metro Denver, our largest population group would be the millennials. And keep in mind now, our oldest millennials are now 41 years of age. This has tremendous implications in terms of what type of housing they're looking for, what types of goods and services are being demanded out there. Take a look at Douglas County, however. You have a very different generational distribution. What this says to me is it is much more the families. You've got your strong concentration of the Gen Xers there, and then the strong concentrations of the younger ones, the Gen Zs and the Gen Alphas as well. So Douglas County definitely more dominated by those families. So again, that has implications for what type of housing, what types of goods, services may be demanded. All of that economic relief funds that we got, boy, we went out there, we spent our dollars. All of our various retail categories are doing better now than they had been in 2019, with one exception, food services and drinking places. Still a little bit lagged, although it was certainly catching up. But as we take a look then out into the future there, Douglas County as a whole, 22% increase in retail activity. That's amazing. That's astounding. We don't expect that that's going to continue. We expect that our spending patterns will still be very strong out there, but you're not going to get those types of percentage increases, rather more a 4 or 5% type of increase in activity. So finally, let's take a look at residential real estate. We have been looking at how do we rebuild or build? How do we reconstruct? How do we, renovate all of our existing spaces? One of the greatest challenges of our region right now is that we have median home prices that are significantly higher than many other parts of the country. Indeed, that Boulder MSA, which is just Boulder County, is the 6th most expensive MSA in the country right now. Metro Denver as a whole, no great bargain. We currently rank at number 10. And it's crazy. I mean, how do you continue with home prices that are going up 18, 20, 22%? It has been just kind of phenomenal how that has been happening. And certainly one of our challenges is how do we make sure that all of those families, all of our folks can indeed move into a house, can become those homeowners. Douglas County, again, you have your single-family detached homes here on average increased 22% last year. Again, crazy types of appreciation. But your price is a little bit lower than Denver, surprisingly enough, and of course, lower than Boulder. On the single-family attached side, again, you're second only to the Boulder prices. On the apartment vacancy side, apartment rental side, if you can't afford to buy a home, you're renting a property there, or maybe you're not quite ready to move into a whole home ownership position, our rental rates have still been increasing like crazy. They had increased by 13% as a whole in Metro Denver, 17% increase in 2021 in Douglas County alone. We thought, no, we're going to start to see some tempering of this. First quarter data was was just released last week, and it shows we had a 16% increase in those rental rates here in Douglas County, 14% increase in Metro Denver. So we are not yet seeing the tempering in those prices, but I think that is coming oh so soon, and here's why. In 2021, we saw an increase in our building permits. The number of units that was permitted all throughout the Metro Denver region was at the highest level that we have seen since 1983. That green part shows the multifamily. We have seen a near doubling in the number of multifamily units that are getting permitted, indeed, all across the state. So as we add to that supply, we expect that we will start to see some tempering finally in those home prices. There you go. That's kind of that brief overview of what's happening in Metro Denver and in Douglas County. Please feel free to reach out to me if you have questions, comments. I'm always happy to engage in those conversations. But other than that, make it a great year. Make it a great year here in Parker. Thanks so much. Take care.
Thank you, Patty, for those amazing words. And like we all know, Douglas County is pretty special, and Parker is even more special. So I'd love to see the drill down on that in terms of Parker. But thank you, Patty, for sharing those thoughts. We're at the end. Thank you all. Thank you to the Rotary Club for being here, for helping out and sponsorship. Congratulations posthumously to Mayor Cassiano on his Impact Award today. Before we close, I want to thank our sponsors, CORE, First Bank, La Loma, everyone else in between. Thank you guys for committing your dollars, your time, and your partnership to us. We very much appreciate it.